remember the name of the nonprofit. I'll find it and I'll drop you in.
Here, did somebody say hi?
Yeah.
Hello?
So you're interested in your job hunting in corporate Ben?
Hi, Ben.
Possibly not.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good, good. Thank you for replying. We will start in just, oh, Dan. Great. Why don't we start on time since today's a short meeting? Let's begin. Welcome to the meeting. So welcome to, let me turn on my camera. And you all on Zoom, let me know if you have any trouble hearing us. Okay,
Yeah, sit up towards the front so people on Zoom can see you.
alrighty. Welcome, everyone. My name is Yahaira Ortega, and I'm here with Thrive Alliance, and you are at the Voter Education and Outreach Advisory Committee. I'm here with my colleague.
Hi, Diane. And I guess I'll take over from here. So welcome, everybody. Could first go around the room, people here in person, introduce yourself, what organization you're with. And then today's question is, what is the primary question you've been getting around the upcoming election? So again, I'm Diane Leeds. I'm co-chair of the VEOAC, and I'm also with San Francisco Peninsula People Power. And the question that I've gotten most frequently is, do I have to vote for everything on the ballot? You don't need to answer all the questions yet, but if we just want to make sure that any questions people have do get answered sometime during the meeting today. I guess I'll go to my left.
My name's Glenn. And with our most common question we're getting is, isn't it too late to register to vote? So that's good. You help them with that. But yeah, still just make people thinking it's so late.
Hi, my name is Kefren Gori. I'm with the Registration and Elections Division. And so the question I'm getting is, what's the date? What's the close of registration? And that's the 21st.
Let's go.
Yeah, so unless you go to a in-person location, a vote center, we have many vote centers in our county.
For homeless people, and the question is, can I register to vote if I'm homeless? And we do have a way to address.
Okay, I already introduced myself.
I'm Gina Miranda, and I'm representing the Millbrae Social Equity Commission. And the question I get asked the most is, what the heck is going on in Millbrae? How, who's my council member? What's my district? Why are there so many little pieces of our small town that we can't figure out?
Hi, everybody. I'm Julie. I just joined Thrive, and I'm part of the community foundation at San Carlos community. And there's a lot of older retired people who are confused about how to fill out their ballot and how to make it work and are kind of scared of the process. So it's both hand holding.
My name is Andy Bokiston. I'm here with Bellhaven Empowered and Bellhaven Action. And the question that I've been getting is, how do I know if I'm registered?
My name is Kenneth Perry. I'm also with the San Mateo County Registration and Elections Division. I work with Kefren. I'm primarily on the sample ballot unit. And the question that I've been getting the most from voters is, am I registered? Then you have to look them up.
My name is Betsy Colby. I'm with League of Women Voters, South San Mateo County, and we get questions about the ballot measures and what are all these numbers? What do they mean? How do I understand them? And of course, nobody really knows, but yeah, we try to.
So, hey, Margie, can you go first on the Zoom?
Sure. Hi, Margie Gator from the League of Women Voters of North and Central San Mateo County, Betsy's counterpart. Hey, Betsy. I manage our candidate forums. We're doing our final ones tonight. We're doing a total of 11. It's lots of fun. But the biggest question, also we get the ballot propositions like Betsy does. But because I'm doing candidate forums, I like the Millbrae connection, get a lot of questions about why the bleepity bleep bleep do we have districts, especially in little towns like Half Moon Bay and Millbrae. It's just really annoying. So to them and well, personally to me. So that's what I'm getting. Yeah. And can we reverse it with a law or a proposition or something? So that's me.
Anyone else want to pop in and
Yeah, sure. This is Ben McMullen, CID San Mateo. Question I get most is registration deadlines too.
Bill?
Just had to get unmuted. Bill Newell, San Francisco Peninsula People Power in South San Mateo County, League of Women Voters. I don't get any, there's no real theme to what people have been asking me. It's a lot of different things, like what's the last date that I can vote, for example.
Marnie?
Hey, everybody. It's Marnie Rubin. I'm also with the League of Women Voters, South San Mateo County. And I'll also be working at a vote center, 11-day vote center in East Palo Alto this coming election. So I'm excited about that. The questions that I've been getting most are an 11-day vote center. What is that? So people are still learning that there are even vote centers and that, 30-day, 11-day, 4-day, or whatever, however many there are. But definitely questions about, can I register there? That kind of thing. What do you do at a vote center? So, yeah, thanks.
Joanne? Joanne, you're still muted.
Okay, there. Sorry, I'm on my phone. Hi, I'm Joanne. I'm from Puente de la Costa Sur, representing the South Coast unincorporated areas. The question I'm most getting is, if I register before the 21st, will I still get my ballot in the mail?
Linda?
Good morning. This is Linda Wolin. I'm Chief of Staff to Supervisor Dave Pine on the County Board of Supervisors. I missed the prompt, but I'm thinking it's what questions are we getting about the election?
Yes.
And I would say we have not really received any calls to the district office, which I think is a good sign that you all are doing the work that is amazing in the communities and people are directing questions to you and your organizations. So that's a good thing. Thank you.
And there's somebody from area code 703. Is there a person at the other end of that line?
On the phone, Eric Stapp from LSPC. The question is, what kind of questions are there? I guess the most salient question is, when is someone with a felony conviction in jail eligible to vote? The distinction between realignment versus 2910 housing agreements.
Thanks, Eric. Answer. I think that's everybody. No one else has come into the room. So I guess we go to the next item, which is election division update. And who's going to do this? Is Kefren, are you doing it, or is Jim going to be joining us?
Jim is just joined
Oh,
us.
okay,
So
perfect.
Can hear us now. Jim,
There
are
we
you
go.
there?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Let me see if I can get myself on camera here. I just had another meeting with about 100 county employees on an employee orientation. So that was at 9:30 and it just got out. Well, it's still going on. I just escaped to come on over here. So how are all of you doing?
Well, thanks for making the time.
Oh, my pleasure. It's an important meeting and just my pleasure to be here. I missed it. So you tell me when you're ready to go.
We're all ready. We actually would love to hear if you're getting any questions. Our introduction for today was introduce yourself, and then if you're, what is the
What
question
kind of
that you're?
questions are you mostly getting during this election cycle?
Mostly registration, voter registration. We have very good election materials through our sample ballot and information pamphlet, but by far and away, we have our call center, and the calls that come in there are more, where can I register to vote? How do I register to vote? I didn't get my ballot. How do I get my ballot? More of the mechanics of the election. So I would say usually it's voter registration and where's my ballot, and how do I get a ballot? So that tends to be more focused at this stage of the game on the mechanics of actually registering and voting.
Jim, that aligns with what I was hearing from folks in the room. They're mostly getting questions about voter registration. So
Voter registration.
we're all on the same page. We've just all introduced ourselves, and we have some folks here. And virtually, would you be able to jump into your updates?
Sure. I have, in terms of introductions, I'm an Assistant Chief Elections Officer under Mark Church, for those of you who do not know me. And my pleasure is to be here today just to report to you on where we're at with the election. I do have just a quick PowerPoint that's got some of the more important statistics of the election. I don't know if that's being shared or not, or do we, just one second. Try and get this done here. Okay, you guys, can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Excellent. So let's go to the first slide here. Cover sheet. We did this just for you. Okay, put a nice slide together just to.
Beautiful.
Yeah, isn't that nice? And this is a presidential general election, probably one of the most consequential elections in our memory. And well, they're all important. There isn't one that isn't. But this one in particular is generating a lot of attention and a lot of activity. So usually when you have elections of this nature that generate, that type of interest, that all with that comes a high voter turnout. We're not predicting any particular voter turnout at this stage of the game. That's very, very hard to do. But we had the 2020 had about an 84%, if I'm not mistaken, voter turnout. I would say that could be somewhere in the same neighborhood for this election. Just a real brief overview that those registered voters are about 438,000 and growing. We have 49 vote centers, including 3 pop-up vote centers. There are 62 ballot drop-off locations. This is a really important statistic here that we have 176 different ballot styles. A ballot is unique to each voter, where they live, the city, the school districts, and all of the jurisdictions that are involved that serve that particular address. We have 176 different ballot styles. And again, every time I talk about this or I look at how ballot styles are created, this is called the construction of the official ballot. And we have our team there at elections that puts this together. This is so detailed and so technical to be able to bring together all of this information, all of the jurisdictional boundaries, all of the cities, all of the school districts, all of the candidates, everything onto one ballot. It is just absolutely incredible what they do. You get to see the ballot, it gets delivered to you and it looks pretty simple, but what goes behind that is nothing short of incredible. So my hat's off to our election personnel there that put these items together, and everybody chips in there. So we have 176 different ballot styles, which is a pretty complex election. But then we multiply that by 4 languages: English, Spanish, Chinese, and Filipino. So we have 704 different ballot styles that are going out that have to be created by our office. Then we have facsimile ballots too, and that is if a party wants to, have a Japanese ballot, we can do a facsimile ballot also upon request. We have remote accessible vote by mail, accessible to all voters in county in this to do that. And that's another vehicle for people to get their ballot electronically, mark it on their computer, print it, and do that by just simply contacting our office at 650-312-5222. You can also go on our website, smcvote.gov. You know, in terms of our elections infrastructure, again, we give credit to is due. There's also the mechanics of the election. One is constructing the official ballot. Now, the other one is actually getting the infrastructure out, your voting machine, everything up with all of the supplies and accessories. 49, there's really 52 with the 3 pop-ups. And we also have a whole voting center. That all happens in our warehouse. It happens with our teams there. And in the final analysis, we have about 500 ballot marking tablets that are deployed. And there are 3 ADA accessible ballot marking tablets in each vote center for those who may need assistance in voting. As I mentioned, we had an 85% voter turnout in November 2020. This could very well be at that level. Okay, very resolution, 177 qualified candidates. There's 34 jurisdictions participating. We got 10 state and federal jurisdictions, 62 local offices up for election, 10 state and federal offices, 28 local measures, and 10 state propositions. All of that is then put on your official ballot, which all of you have received, hopefully. We mailed out 430, I think close to 435,000 ballots out on October 7th. And those should be in the hands of everybody, all of the registered voters right now. Let me see if we can go to the next slide. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about the inmate voting program. Governor Newsom vetoed the bill 544 on September 22nd, basically saying that because of funds, he created a funding responsibility for the state, and he did not believe that in this tight budget situation that the state is in, that he could commit any more funds for other activities. And furthermore, he said, the counties have the capability of doing this on their own. And to a certain extent, well, I wish we would have did this, because this would have been great to do an in-person vote center at our jail facilities. And that's primarily the distinction between what we do and what we would do under the new law. We do a lot of the services, we perform a lot of the services with the Sheriff's Department, and we've been doing this for years, over a decade, 15 years and longer. We've got an excellent relationship with our department. There's a program coordinator there. Inmates receive voter information packets through that coordinator. And so we get all of the information to them without 544 in play. And then, of course, voting, what was really simplified voting has been the vote by mail model that we have in San Mateo County. So if you're eligible to vote and you're registered to vote, we also assist in voter registration in the jail. You can vote from an inmate can actually vote from the facility. And ballots are returned to elections office by the sheriff's elections coordinator or mail by election day. So as you can see, a lot of the services that were intended under 544, we were doing. It's a matter of the level of being able to do more that the additional funds would have assisted. And the big difference, of course, is to establish an actual on-site, in-person voting facility in the jail. So we will continue to look at that. But right now, as 544 was drafted, again, that was vetoed by the governor. These are some of the flyers that we provide to the inmate program. And this is an overview, but again, we provide all of this as is with our current system, with the exception of having an on-site vote center. A little bit about our voter education outreach materials. These are just some samples of what we provide. I know most of you have seen some of these, but we are, again, there to provide all of these flyers. If you need anything, just let us know in terms of election material. And of course, we are hiring, and we're still hiring. We need at least 600 extra help staff, and about 300 volunteers. Our staff is doing an excellent job there, but we have vacant positions. So if you know folks that are interested in working in all facets of elections, whether it's vote centers, couriers, warehouse, vote by mail, we need you. So by all means, please feel free to let people know, and people can go to our website and the HR website also find out information about available positions. These are some of the key dates. A lot of them in the past. Of course, we're going towards the final days here. We will have on the 21st is a voter registration deadline, and again, it says whoever misses deadline can still go to any vote center and register and cast a ballot all the way through election day. But the voter registration deadline sets a date about 15 days before the election, because that then allows us to be able to have enough time to mail the ballot to the registered voter. If you miss that deadline, that October 21st, then you're going to wind up either picking or missing voting at a vote center. And if you wait to the last day, you might wind up additionally registering to vote and vote. On October 26th, our 11-day vote centers open. We already mentioned that on October 7th, we have 3 vote centers open county-wide, north, central, and south. Covered some of those dates with you before. But the big date that we're shooting for right now is the October 22nd date. We are mobilized. We are setting those vote centers up, and they will open up on October 26th. And the vote center, 4-day vote centers, will open up on November 2nd. And that's when we get, when we open up those centers, that's when we get the large influx of people that actually come in to vote and also receive voting services. Just a statistic, last election, we had about 95%, 96% of the folks that voted by mail. So for about 4 to 5% actually use a vote center to cast a ballot, but vote centers are extremely helpful in providing voter services and on election day for helping people vote on front-side. And of course, November 5th, election day. So all of your ballots, make sure ballot envelopes are signed. That's one of the biggest issues that we have. But we have to have them postmarked by November 5th, midnight. The last day to accept ballots are November 12th. In other words, that we need to be able to receive it. Even if you mailed it on November 5th, it gets to us after November 12th, it will be canceled, but it won't be counted. So just make sure that when you do, if you're going to wait to the last day to mail it, that you go to the post office, that they stamp it. That way there's a date on it, get to us time within that 7-day grace period. There's another date in here that isn't mentioned. We have the certification of the election, which is a 30-day process to make sure that we canvass the vote. In 2 days before, which will be on the 3rd, voters have 28 days to cure their ballots. We have, unfortunately, that don't sign their ballots or that have pictures that are illegal. We then will call them to correct or cure them. They have until December 3rd to cure their, and that's in the last election. It was the 2 days before the certification that we received the last cure ballot that tied the congressional district. So, grace period, things can happen, particularly cyber attacks that the whole nation, in terms of our critical infrastructure, experience day to day. That's the bad news. The good news, we're very well connected with federal, state, local governments to protect and for attacks. It's done every day. But the biggest one that is hard to manage is misinformation that comes in many sophisticated formats, particularly with AI these days, that you can actually have a film or a video of somebody that is providing information, and it's not even that person, but it looks very, very real. So our ask of you and everybody in county, if you see some activities, information, it should quickly, because the longer that's out there, the more damage it can do, and we have methods to be able to mitigate that. But again, time is of the essence when you see that. So I think that's about it right now. Yeah. So if there's any questions you have, by all means, let me know.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jim, for all your updates. Always good to hear them. So to offer some time for some questions. Bill, you're the first one I see. Do you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, real quick, Mr. October 21 last day to register. Is that a clear across the board throughout the state, or is that unique to San Mateo County?
Clear across the board, across the state.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's election code driven.
Thank you. Betsy?
You mentioned the facsimile ballot for other languages.
Yes.
How do people get those?
Basically go to a vote center, and then what we would do is we would print a facsimile ballot for them, and they would be able to look at it in their language. They would still vote one of the 4 ballots that we have.
Do you have Tongan?
We have Tongan, I believe. Yes, we have so many different languages. Last time I recall, we have a booklet that has all of the different ballots of facsimiles, and we had like about 50 or so. Don't quote me on that, but yes, we have. If it's a dialect or language in this county, we would be able to provide a facsimile.
That's very cool. Thank you, Jim. I just heard somewhere that people think the Turkish all of a sudden, and I have never heard of that in San Mateo. So it's good to hear that you have about 50 languages. Okay, so I have another question from, I think, a phone number, maybe Eric? I think it's Eric. There you go.
Hi, thanks, Jim. Excellent presentation as well. So on 844, one of the provisions that provided was an express guarantee for conditional vote and provisional balloting for persons in jail who are otherwise eligible to vote. And so I'm planning on going into McGuire, including after the normal registration time. If I encounter someone who's interested in doing a conditional process, how should that be coordinated with the election?
I think you need to call us on that. We've got statutory limitations on what we can do. We don't tell anybody, but we have done it. But the law basically is that to vote conditionally, you need to do it at a vote center. And that's why the provision had, excuse me just one second. The law wanted to set up a vote center in the jails, because then that would provision of the code that says that voting condition has to basically occur at a vote center. So talk to us. We'll see what we can do. It's a tough area. It's a gray area. We have had some exceptions to the rule, and that's something we can talk about.
And is there an official to whom such an inquiry should be directed?
Well, you can send it to me, but I would probably involve Hillary O'Connor, who's heads that program, and
okay,
see what we can do to at least the questions. My pleasure.
Eric, thank you, Jim. Marty is up next.
Hi there. Some of us do work with college students, or students who have left for college, some in California, but some around the country. And I guess my question, particularly for kids that are in different counties in California, voter you know, registration, how do they get their ballot? Do you have to mail them their ballot from your house? Is there any way to make it easier for them? You know, kids around the country, yes, probably more difficult, but for kids in California?
Yeah, they would be treated as out-of-state voters, people who are voting in Europe right now. So we do have the ability to do that. For the most part, where you vote and how you vote is your domicile. So if you a child that is at Chico, but their primary residence is San Mateo County, they intend to come back to San Mateo County. This is where they live. This is where, you know, their driver's license is. Then that's their domicile. And if San Mateo County is their domicile, they're going to receive the ballot at their domicile. Now, if they want to register to vote where they are at, then they would register in Butte County, and they would get their ballot. They would get their ballot there. So, you know, it's basically driven by address, and they have a particular, you know, issue with respect to requests. I would get to our vote by mail people and see what we might be able to do. Those are the general rules. Is that ballot's going to come home to their domicile.
My specific question then would be, can they vote in person in another county?
I don't believe so. An in-person vote would be because if they went in person, like somebody comes here, we go to VoteCal. VoteCal is going to show them as a resident in the county. Is not going to allow them to vote.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's helpful. I just saw, Elsa, you put a question in the chat.
I only put the word question because then I'm on my phone and my computer died, blah, blah, blah. But may I ask a question?
Of course, Elsa.
Thank you so much. Jim, I'm so interested, I'm gonna switch back to the jails. In you know, how many people have been registered there so far this year? And is there any way you ever know what percentage of the jail population is registered, period, like in the first place, and versus how many actually vote?
That is a moving target. It's data that we actually do have because we know when the ballots are coming in from the areas, but I'd really have to get into I can't tell you that number right off the top of our head. It's there, but I can't get to it. The data can be generated.
Jim, well, so I think I had about 3 dates or 3 bits of data there, but that's fabulous. So in those, can you find out how many of the jail population actually are registered to vote? Like a lot of people may have been registered before they got there.
And that, again, that's a moving target. It's kind of hard because it's all data. We need to be able to get that. So we would have to take our voter registration database and then compare it to the inmate population at a certain moment in time to determine if any of those are in, you know,
and you need the list of who's in the jail.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Okay, point one. Great point one. Do you know how many people have been registered so far this year? And do you know how many have voted?
I know we have right now that we've received over 30,000 ballots today that are that's our raw count. We have started counting the actual ballot, processing them. But from the jail, I do not have that information. Again, it's information that has to be extracted in order to be able to answer accurately. And if you have, you know, those questions, you can put it in an email to me, and I'll get it to our unit, and we'll look and we'll see what we can do if we can do it.
And Hillary sounds like a great
time. Hillary is Georgia.
Do you think Hillary would have or be difficulty be able to figure out what has the trend line been for people voting from the jail over the last like 12 years?
I don't believe we have that data. We can look at it, but I don't. That data is not as precise as it. But yeah, let's get to talk with Hillary a little bit and see what's out there. But the statistics, the data that you're requesting really is something that needs to be programmed and then actually implemented. And there's some challenges there in getting that information.
Thank you so much. And thanks for talking with
My
us again, Jim.
That's helpful. I know that raised your hand for some information for Elsa's question. Do you still have any?
Do you want me to talk about, we're doing it
Well,
or some other time or?
We'll jump into your updates in a little bit. Elsa, you might want to hold on to your questions. Betsy might have some updates for you in terms of what's happening in the jail. Her group went in there just recently, so she might have some answers. Let's just do one final question from Bill. Thank you, Bill, for being so patient. Please ask your question.
Yeah, quickly, Mr. Isneri. At the beginning, I thought I heard you say 438,000 registered voters, San Mateo County.
Right, and it grows daily.
I know, and then you said later, 435,000 ballots went out. So how do the other people get their ballots? If you've already mailed out 435, are you still sending out more ballots to people as the registrations come in, or how's that work?
Yes, exactly. You're registered to vote, we send you a ballot. Exactly. Up to the 21st. So, you know, if you're registered before the 21st, the mail, and the 430 we have for this election.
No, I get all that. I got registered. They should get a ballot in the mail before the 21st of October so they can vote by mail.
That's correct. It would be in the mail. We would then have sufficient time to mail it.
So
That's what they request. After the 21st.
No, I got that. But right now I'm hearing at least 3,000 ballots out there that
Yes,
need to get in people's hands.
and they're probably in people's hands or in process right now. If we've got that number, we got that. It's almost instantaneous.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's helpful. Well, thank you so much, Jim, for all your updates and being so patient with all of us and answering all of our questions. I know we appreciate this time with you, so thank you for that.
My pleasure, and I'm going to excuse myself because there's a meeting with the Secretary of State going on right now, so I'm going to wind up jumping over there. Okay, everybody, make sure you get out to vote. Make sure everybody signs their ballot envelopes, okay, and legibly. It's really important. And if any of you want to volunteer or know people that want to work in elections, but please get the word out. And thank you. You all have a great day. Bye.
Great. Okay, we were hoping to receive folks on the election now. That data, if we have that data in the future, I will be sure to share it with you all. It's just basically what's happening in the county, what are people doing in terms of most so you will know what you're doing of our agenda to Betsy, and I'm going to spotlight this room so people can see us on the Zoom. Oh, let me move that chair. Okay, Betsy, go ahead. Give us your updates and please speak loud and clearly so the Zoom people can hear you.
Okay. So I'm with the League in South San Mateo County. One of our members, Connie Guerrera, has everywhere, but she knows somebody in the sheriff's office and was able to arrange some visits into the jail. So it's a fairly involved process. You have to get a clearance to people. We went to a correctional center and there's 3 floors. So we covered 1 floor in each of the visits. There's 4, I guess they call them pods or whatever. So you have to go to each one separately and it's all very carefully controlled. We found people were very interested and we're very happy to register. The population is very dynamic, in flux, so we came up with lots of questions about, are you even gonna be here in November? So some of them knew that they were gonna be leaving, some of them didn't, so there were questions about how to even fill out what your address is. So that was the main topic that came up. And then do you want to get your ballot in the jail? Or even if you're in the jail, you could get your ballot at home and somebody from home could bring it. So all that discussion about how the ballot would be delivered to them was part of what came up. It turned out we registered about 30 people each time. And then there were an extra 10 that the deputy on duty said that she was able to get separately. So we registered 100 people in Maple Street, which
Wow.
I think was, I was very impressed. I didn't think we would get that many. So
I missed that. What was your
it was
success?
100 the Maple Street. So there were many that did not register for whatever reason, and we didn't ask, but those were the ones that were interested. So we are hoping to go back late in October and find out if they got their ballots and see how the other end of the process is working out for them. So I do have some of these flyers that that Jim referred to. We actually found this kind of confusing, I'll just be honest, because this is not a registration form. It's only a change of address form. And a lot of them had never been registered. So if there's a lot of these, we can pass these around. So we didn't actually distribute this, but it gives you some information about the rules around the registration. But we have enough confusing stuff. We brought the actual registry. 3 different days, September and October.
Remember the last time you went over there? Because I brought like a pack of these over there like last week. I just was wondering if you actually see it. If you were there since like.
I would probably never see it.
They pretty control everything. I mean, the one thing that I don't think we really got a good feel for is how far in advance if this was publicized to the folks there. Or it sounded as though there was an announcement made by the person in charge saying, hey, there's folks here if you want to register to vote. So it wasn't, and there was no pre-planning, and it was really dependent upon the folks to decide they wanted to come into the room and fill out the form. So that's something that, again, hopefully there's some more proactive things we can do in the future. But yeah, I mean, we were there, what, like 40 minutes in each pod or 30 minutes in each pod. And there were the biggest question was what domicile, so what residential address to use versus what mailing address to use. So again, depending on where, the mailing address, if you think you're going to physically be here in in Maple on, when the ballot is mailed, you want it mailed here. If you think you're going to be released pretty soon, then you want it mailed someplace else. And then it's like, well, what address should we use? So a lot of times we'll have an home address to go to once you're released. And that's probably the address you want to use because you want to get a ballot that reflects what's on the ballot for your, where you live. And we even have one homeless person, so we could use the information about, they live at Sequoia Station and but they're going to get their ballot at McGuire. So it was pretty interesting, but yeah, I think everyone was very appreciative that we were there. I just one time, I don't know. So you have.
Can I ask about language accessibility a little bit? Like, I'm curious. I might have missed at the beginning. Were one of you, somebody that came, if anybody needed translations or anything?
Connie was there, so she could do Spanish. Most of them were English speakers, at least the ones that we interacted with.
I find that the announcement was multiple languages?
We didn't hear. the
We didn't hear
announcement.
it. We were escorted into a little multi-purpose room, and the main floor where most of the incarcerated folks were was outside, and there's like a duty, I don't know what you call it, a duty personnel who sits up on this desk that's above, that's higher than the main room, so they can kind of keep an eye on what's going on. And plus there were people outside doing weightlifting. And because of they don't have a lot of equipment, so they're like lifting trash cans that they must have filled with stuff, or the stackable chairs. So it's like they were very creative in what they were doing. So we didn't hear what was said. My guess is it was probably only in English, and I don't even know, if they just said, hey, if you want to register to vote, go in there.
I see your hand up, Gina, but Bill had his hand up before us. Bill, would you be able to ask a question?
Quick question, Betsy, do you have any way of knowing, or even your best guess estimate, or Diane, of the people you registered, what was the total number of potential people that could have been registered that were in the jail? Do you have any clue at all?
No, no clue.
The only thing I can tell you, of all the people that came in on the day I went, there was one person that realized he's not a citizen and therefore could not vote.
We don't know how many people are in the jail.
I don't know. Somebody knows.
Somebody
Yeah.
knows. And again, that number fluctuates. I
Oh,
mean, it
every
looks like
day.
there
Well,
were,
I understand it fluctuates, but I mean, at a given point in time, you should be able to know how many people are there.
That would be good data to know. But
didn't they say it's like 800? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about
800 in Maple?
Well, I'm just trying to think of like how many people we saw in each of the pods, and I don't know, like 56. It's hard. I don't know.
Well, you said you got 30 in each pod is what you said.
No. That's how many we registered. But
That's what I'm saying. That's what you got.
But in terms of the total number of people in each pod, I don't know what the total number.
And it was 30 per visit to the total jail, not 30.
Well, each visit was a different pod, Elsa.
A floor, it was a floor.
A different floor, and there are several pods on a floor. But the other thing, Bill, is that you don't know how many people who were in the jail already had registered from home or wherever.
Well, that's another question. That's a completely different question, but just how many people in general are there would be useful.
That the sheriff always says between 800 and 1,000. So
in Maple.
Sorry, Bill, I don't know it divided by Maple versus McGuire.
Oh, so you're talking both jails. Okay.
I mean, just quick Google, Maple has 576 beds, so up to that.
Thank you.
That's a lot of people you registered then.
Yeah, and again, it's hard to know. I don't think they track when someone goes into the jail, whether they're registered to vote. And so again, all we knew, or people were coming in, and some people might have already been registered, but needed to change and update their voter registration because they were now at McGuire.
Yeah,
True.
and then you have the issue of a number of people who may be in jail who just are not eligible to vote too. You don't know that.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody tracks that information.
No, they don't. So it's an estimate. All we can do is make estimates.
okay, we have another hand raised. Eric, I see your hand, but first we're gonna go to Gina and then Eric.
For League of Women Voters, I understand you had a cheat sheet, for lack of a better word, for the propositions and the pros and cons. How would we be able to find that online, and how could I connect that to people? This one is yours?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll put it in the chat, the link to the propositions. This is Margie from the North League.
And then
And
one
we're
other.
going over resources after this segment.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's your other question?
No, it has to do with resources.
We're going over resources. I
Okay.
have a list of things that I want to show you all, and the people on the Zoom will get the links as well. And I'll forward it in the follow-up email.
But there was a lot of interest in terms of when we were in the jail, they were taking the proposition, the pros and cons.
That's the hard one, the toughest one.
Mhm.
The one we all avoid.
Well, okay, Eric, please ask your question.
Yeah, what was just suggested was basically my question. What was your policy and strategy for responding to questions about what ballot measures are on there, or what candidates are up for office, what offices are up, et cetera?
We, well, we didn't spend, the last visit, we didn't spend any time on that. We were trying to just get people registered. But at the very first visit, we did actually do a sort of presentation about the different races that are on the ballot and just saying, who the candidates were. So it was just kind of an overview, Senate, Assembly, Board of Supervisors, that thing. And then for the propositions, we just gave them the easy voter guide. We pretty much didn't go into the details on that.
That's good. So was your format different for the second time?
Right.
So the first time you gave a presentation, kind of did the whole voter registration as well. The second time you did what?
It was just talking to them. Yeah, we found that they didn't really have facilities to do slideshows, so it just didn't work out. So.
And plus people kind of wander, at least in the
Yeah.
third visit, people would wander in. They didn't all come in at one time.
Right.
So you really couldn't.
It's more informal. Yeah,
Mhm.
that worked better.
Very helpful. And that was the same for the third time. Okay, and you're planning to go in back again. Is it a consistent, is it every Tuesday, every so often, or no?
Whenever we're available.
Okay, I see.
And they have someone who can escort us.
Yes, we need an escort, so that's part of it.
Do you know what days they're usually available to escort people in? No, okay. It's just good to know. In the future, we can have consistent dates as well. Okay. Any last questions before we move on to the last portion of the meeting? Thank you, Diane, Betsy, for all the amazing work. I know we've been talking about this work for so long and you all had the opportunity to do that. I know Eric is going back in, so maybe you and Betsy and Eric can coordinate. Thank you for doing that work. It's very needed and everyone appreciates it. Okay, we're gonna move on to resources. Margie Gator put in the chat the League of Women Voters pros and cons on propositions. I'm gonna open up the links in the chat just so folks can see it, and I will also add these in the follow-up email. So here you can see from the League of Women Voters of California Education Fund, you can see the pros and cons list that Margie put in here. Do you have any additional comments for anything or anyone from the League of Women Voters?
Well, that's the page, and then I sent, if you scroll up a little, Yahara, you'll see the download PDF. Whoop, no, come back down, the gray
Okay.
button. Yeah, so there's the PDF. If anybody has budget to print, it is a popular handout, but it is lots of pages. So we printed it. Oh, I have one handy here. I think I'm not on video. We printed it 2 up, so the print's really tiny, but it saves you a lot of money on paper. Print up and 2-sided. So as opposed to 1 prop per page portrait, we have per page, basically landscape, but it is tiny print, but it works.
It does work. Thank you. And then the second link that you put in there is just a PDF version, right?
Yeah,
Mark?
yeah.
So do you hope that I'm gonna put on the screen another resource. Diane and I were thinking about this before. Let's see if this is the same one. The league, another league also has, just a second. Let me know if you can see. The League of Women Voters of California have some ballot recommendations based on.
Yeah, so that's our advocacy side. And so we do take issues on, take positions on some issues after we've studied them, et cetera. So that's the advocacy side. What I put in the chat is just the pure analysis without recommendations.
And what does the link to that one look like?
It's called League of Women Voters California, which is lwvc.org/ballot-recommendations-. And I will include this in the follow-up, which I'm hoping to get out. Today's Wednesday, at minimum, next week. With all these resources that are in here and anything that the elections office presented, I'm hoping to put in there.
And this one you can print. I think it's either 1 or 2 pager.
Okay, Silicon Valley Community Foundation, when they were talking about the grant, they came down pretty hard on the nonpartisan and said that we could not take positions on ballot measures.
Who did that? I'm sorry. That is still on. Okay, that's, you can't recommend
Do you
it.
remember that?
I do remember, and they did come down hard. We can talk about it later because not everyone's on that election grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to take those down and communicate those to them. Okay, here's another one that I found from Cal Matters. They have some cool videos, right, Diane? On each proposition. If you're more visual like me and audio, Cal Matters has some cool videos on each proposition.
And they're very short. They're 1-minute videos. I showed them I did a presentation to a high school class and we did the one on the minimum wage.
Yes, very short, easy to digest video, so take a look.
They also have for each proposition where the money's coming from. Because I couldn't find that on 411 this time. They didn't seem
On
to
which
have
one?
The vote 411 from the League of Women Voters. The previous version of that was done by California's league would show you who was supporting each side, where the money was coming from, but that doesn't seem to be there this year, but Cal Matters does have that. So if you're trying to, another good piece of information in terms of figuring out whether you're for or against a proposition is looking, where's the money coming from, who's supporting it, the yes vote, and who's supporting the no vote.
Yeah.
So you're saying they show that here?
Yes.
They're gonna show that here, once you click into
Click into a particular, so click into a particular proposition. And you just scroll, you keep scrolling, there's a pop quiz, and here you can see who's supporting and who's not supporting. And there's
Cool.
also, I think,
Supporting is different from money, though.
I think they also had, there it is.
There you go.
That shows you how much is, where the money is coming from, the funders. So you get both the organizations that are supporting or not supporting a proposition, and then you can see where the money's coming from as well. So it's a lot of information.
It's helpful, a
Yeah.
lot of it. I want to show you just 2 more resources that are local to us. The United Way Bay Area, our local United Way put out their voter guide. That's another resource that you can look at or offer. The ACLU also put out their voter guide. This is just from some of the newsletters that I subscribe. I wanted to let people know. I'm sure there's a ton of voter guides out there, but just some folks within the Thrives network that do voter guides. And that's it from me. As I said, you all will receive these resources in the follow-up email.
I have a question about a resource that was so helpful to me 4 years ago. I don't know who did it, but it was a 1-page graph. What are those called? Infographic, and it showed money, like for these 10 propositions, lined up in a row, who was supporting that in terms of money, and just the top 2, not like a long list like that. But it was all the propositions in 1 page, all money, not all the money, I'm sorry, the top money and the top groups that were donating that. And it was amazing. Because you saw how unbalanced things were, like the Association of Apartments for California is donating 90% of the money for this proposition against whatever, something that they don't want, rent control. And then the people who want rent control are like $5 and just to see that imbalance was really important. So if anybody knows where something like that might exist again, that was literally the game changer. And then the other thing is this League of Women Voters, which has the summary, is nice. if you look at the giant thick pamphlet from the
Secretary of State.
from the Secretary of State, there's 4 pages on it at the very beginning that summarize it like similar to this. But the key is that they put in who the supporter and the opponents are. And unfortunately, nowadays, you know, we don't know what these things all mean. You did a good job here, but we don't know what these things all mean. And what we do know is who we trust and who we don't trust. So if the Latino caucus of whatever is against this, but Dolores Huerta is for it, then you're like, well, who is this, you know, Latino caucus, and is it a bunch of people that I don't align with, even though they're Latino? So anyway, that was very helpful because it was right there, kind of like you have it here. They had it supporters and opponents right there, and unfortunately, that tells us a lot nowadays, assuming we know who those groups are.
Well, Gina, if you find additional resources and anyone in the room that you'd like me to share with anyone, get it to me by the end of the week and I can share with people, because it sounds like, you know, Dan and I are not the only ones that are seeing resources out there, but if there's something you like and appreciate, send it to me so I can send it to everyone else.
This might be a question for the gentleman who presented first, because again, the pages that I'm talking about are part of that thick pamphlet and printed pamphlet. And is there a quick and dirty link to just those online?
There probably
That's-
is.
Yeah.
If it comes from the California State, it does.
Secretary of State's office, but yeah, it's that thick newsprint
Right,
pamphlet.
and I'm assuming the link would be that hard also to go through, and that's not what I want.
don't
I
know.
want,
Yeah.
I want.
Yeah, you want a direct link to. a
And have
particular-
everything
You
summarized.
want what you want. Gina, and
I want what's
that's
easy.
it.
I know what's
Yeah.
easy.
Anyways, we have to wrap up. Thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
If I find that, I think I've seen the big book online, but if I find what.
Well, here's
what
an
you're looking for-
opportunity.
Yeah.
Some organization that has lots of time on their hands, who can create that, you know, 1-page infographic.
Yeah, do you have time?
Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up because people have to go. It's 11:02. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this last VEOAC. We hope to see you virtually at the next one in December. After the election is certified, we will send you all the information very soon. And I appreciate all your time and I hope you have a great rest of your week and good luck getting people
Getting-
registered
getting
and
people
getting
out.
people excited about the registration, about voting.
Help yourself to any of the papers back there.
Yes.
I'm giving.
I stop the recording.